Welcome back to the Normal Sports Show. My name's Kyle Porter. I am here with Hayden Martin. Hayden, two things. One, I have no idea what we're going to talk about today. There's nothing going on whatsoever in the world of golf. And two, we're going to, I guess we can talk about we can talk about whatever we want. We're in charge of this, but we're going to keep doing these for the rest of the year. You and I, you have, for some reason unbeknownst to me, agreed to chop it up on this podcast for the next however many months are left in the year, and I'm super excited about that. So welcome to the official co-hosting chair over there.
Thanks, Cal. Yeah, excited to talk about nothing with you today. Like you said, there's nothing going on in the world of golf, and really, I said yes because I feel bad that there's nothing for you to talk about. Feel like somebody needed to be in this seat for you to talk to. But yeah, no, I'm super excited. I don't know why you want me sitting here for the rest of the year, but I'm happy to do it. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun summer for sure. Of golf. It's got 3 majors ahead of us. So, it's also just crazy thinking about where we were, I don't know, a month ago in the golf world. Like, what the landscape of golf looked like, not even a month ago, 3 weeks ago, versus where we are right now. And then trying to imagine what is it going to look like? I don't know what it's going to look like next week, let alone by the end of the year. So, what a crazy time. I mean, the last 5 years have been crazy, but even this week.
Yeah, totally. And this happens probably, I don't know, 2 or 3 times a year where you get, it just feels like an overdose of news I've been trying to write the newsletter this week, and I wrote about Jim Furyk being named captain, and I'm like, it feels like that was announced 2 months ago. Like, is that even news anymore? And so this will happen I saw Josh, we're recording this on Thursday morning. I saw Josh Carpenter tweeted out that Detroit has a TGL team for 2020. What will that be? 2027, I guess. And I was like, Josh, not like, that's great. I'm happy for them. Not now. Like, we can't do this now. So yeah, it does feel like just it's not every day. It's every 2 hours. There's something new. So couple housekeeping notes here. First, today's episode is sponsored by Seed Golf. Irish company, makes golf balls. We'll talk more about them in a little bit, but we're, as always, excited to be partnered with them and excited that they're sponsoring today's show. So that's one thing. A couple other housekeeping things. I think that I've been a little all over the place with the rhythm of this show since we launched it last September. So just to give people who listen kind of a framework agreement for what the rest of the year should look like, it will be mostly, not every week, but mostly Tuesdays I'll have a guest on, like we did with Shane Bacon this week, where we'll kind of chop it up about a big picture thing. Shane and I drafted teams of, if people haven't listened, we drafted teams of guys that haven't won as many majors as we feel like they should have, or won more majors than we thought their talent would have gotten them to. So that was a ton of fun. If you haven't listened, go check it out. So that'll be Tuesday episodes. And then Thursdays will mostly be Hayden, you and I kind of chopping it up about stories that we're following this week. In this instance, we're going to have 5 or 6. In this instance, we have like 12. We're not going to get to all of them, but that will be sort of the rhythm going forward. And then you and I will also be recording podcasts during major championships. We won't do daily like some other places do, but we will do an increased number of podcasts during those major weeks. So yeah, that's kind of the rhythm going forward. What do you got?
I was just going to say, I think you framed it really well in the newsletter. If people want to hear from an interesting person in the golf world, check in on Tuesdays. If you want to just hear us, check in on Thursday.
Yeah, that's great. And I think there's room for both. So I'm excited about both of those. Okay, I want to get to all this news, but we got to, as is our 1 week custom, we got to name a random baseball player before we get into it.
Sweet. You want me to go first?
Sure. Yeah, you're up.
Yeah. Well, you know how I feel about pitchers in general. Like, they're liabilities. I don't like them. I don't know why I started with a pitcher last week.
As people, they're liabilities.
Oh, on the field, off field, yeah. Just generally speaking, pitchers are they're too much. No, I have a lot of good friends that were pitchers. But I gotta go with a position player.
Okay.
As I think about random baseball players, these are the guys that I wanted to be growing up. And he's not that old, but I'm gonna go with a guy I loved watching, but I hated because he went up against the Rangers when I was a kid. Was Sean Figgins. I thought he was like just the coolest middle infielder. Like I wanted to be, just like Sean Figgins, swiping bags. He was so good. And always like, I just felt like in the AL West for a long time. I think he may have played with the Dodgers too at some point, but man, he was so fun to watch.
Yeah, his last year was with the Dodgers. He was incredible. I remember him being just an amazing fantasy. I used to play fantasy. I just got back into it. We have a kind of a golf media league that I'm in, which is, now that I say it out loud, like the nerdiest thing imaginable, like a golf media fantasy baseball league. But I haven't played in probably 12 years. And back when I was playing, he was incredible because he would steal, 60 bases, but he would also hit for average, ton of runs. I mean, he was awesome. He was really, really good.
So smooth in the field too.
Career salary for Sean Figgins. Do you have any guesses?
Well, you kind of blew my mind with Alfonseca's $15 million. So I mean, I gotta go like 30. No, more. Probably more. Let's go. I'm going to say 60.
Yeah, 52. You're getting there. Get closer with the second one.
Yeah.
Played for the
position
Angels.
Players should be paid more.
He played with the Angels, Mariners, and then 1 year with the Dodgers. That's a good one. I haven't thought about him in a very long time. He got a bunch of MVP votes. Never really finished like 20th, but
he finished 10th in 2009.
Oh yeah, All-Star. Yeah, good career. Good
he
player.
had 101 walks in a season.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna counter your position player with the pitcher. I'm gonna go Johan Santana. Just so filthy, underrated. Yeah. I don't think is he a Hall of Famer?
I don't think so.
I don't know if he's in the Hall of Fame, but he was incredible. He was the first guy that, not the first guy, but he was one of the guys growing up that you're like, oh, that's what pitching looks like, and not just throwing. I mean, his changeup was incredible. He was awesome on the Twins. Obviously, moved over to the Mets. He only played 12 years, which is
felt longer.
I guess that's a long time, I guess, for a professional athlete. But it did feel like he was like one of those 15 or 20 year guys. I bet he made a lot of money. Any guesses on him?
Well, he was as a starter, I feel like, his salary is going to be way, way higher. Let's see. What years did he play? 2000 to 2010 or 2012. Salary's got to be, I'm going to say like 125.
160.
Golly. Yeah. He was.
If you're listening,
so fun to watch.
If you're listening and you have kids and you care about how much money they make, have them play golf, not baseball, or baseball, not golf. I mean, I looked this up the other day, Hayden. Max Scherzer, you want to guess how much he's made?
I mean, it's got to be over 400.
367.
Okay. Yeah.
I think Verlander's like 425. You're like, is Justin Verlander a billionaire because he threw 99? Obviously, it's more complex than that. But it's crazy how much money there is how much guaranteed money there is in baseball. Yeah.
I don't know. We're going to get into it here shortly, but there's a lot of money being thrown around in golf too.
Justin Verlander,
might not
420.
Be a bad option. 420.
I mean, Justin Verlander made 28. The pride of who?
I was going to say pride of Goochland, Virginia, Justin Verlander.
Didn't he play at Old Dominion?
Old Dominion.
Just this is crazy. He makes Sung JM money. Okay, let's get into the big story this week that we are following, which is, I mean, we could honestly split this into 5 different stories, but the Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia is, as of this recording, officially out as the funder of the LIV Golf League. So this league that started just about 4 years ago to the day no longer has funding after 2026 from the Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia. Now, this has been reported for a couple weeks now. The Athletic has been all over it. The Financial Times has been on it. Shout out to Brody Miller, Gabby Herzig, and their entire team over there, because they've been all over this, reporting it. Wall Street Journal had some stuff on it earlier this week. But yeah, this is now official. LIV has put out all kinds of spinny PR statements about, they're diversifying and seeking other, just all this stuff. And it's like, everybody can pretty clearly see what's happening here, which is that the sugar daddy's going away and they don't have any money left. And now there are a million questions about what is going to become of LIV. I think the place that I'd like to start is something that you said a couple weeks ago. I think you said it on Twitter or maybe in Slack, or I don't know. There's too many places that we get information inputs from. But you said that LIV maybe gets a little more interesting for you now as a league, now that its funding from the Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia is going away. Why did you say that?
I think it was just this idea that, they're not being bankrolled leads to just, in my head, could lead to more innovation. And like when I listen to Scott O'Neill, and if I were to take out all of the context of the PIF and what I know about LIV and what LIV has been for the last, however, 5 years, if I take all of that out and I listen to that to the interview of him talking to, I think it was Arlo White or whoever, where he was talking about the goals of LIV, right? To be this global game, to be, not necessarily focused in America. We're going to try to take these national opens. We're going to prop them up. We're going to bring golf to these like other countries. Just in a vacuum, like, sign me up. That actually sounds like really cool. Mm-hmm. I don't know how the team concept really works long term. Like, I don't think it works. At least it doesn't work for me. I'm not a big TGL guy. I'm not a big LIV. I've actually never watched a LIV event like fully, like just start to finish. Like I'll catch it here and there, but like a lot of it just doesn't. That stuff doesn't like interest me. Now you and I have talked. I love the DP World Tour. I watch, especially from like July on, like starting at, it's the PGA Tour technically, but starting at the Scottish Open and then really through the fall, like those events are just so fun to watch. I think it's morning golf, which is easier for me to watch in America in the morning than in like, the afternoon when life is going on. So anyway, like that idea of what LIV is saying they could be, like totally resonated with like what I would love to see. Now that the DP World Tour does that for me, I don't think that LIV will succeed in what they're saying. I don't think that they will have enough investments or funding to be able to do this. Maybe there's a world they merge somehow with the DP World Tour. But for me, it's like they have to get creative. And if they were to really try to lean into this global thing, like I think it could be cool. Plus, just taking the PIF out of it feels like just a little less morally compromising for me.
Yeah, totally. I think so. A couple of things. One, I've been pro World Tour for longer than most of the LIV supporters have even been following golf. And I think that, my position on this sort of got twisted over time. And some of that was my fault for like wading into the, I think I regret some of the wading into the morality of what the PIF represented within LIV. And I don't know that my objective stance on, governments being involved in sports has necessarily changed, but you start to look around and it's like, man, PIF money is literally everywhere. And so if you take a stance against LIV because of PIF money, they're like, I saw something the other day, they're like invested in Paramount or whatever Paramount has become. And it's like, well, you can't get into that game and come out as a winner in any form or fashion. I don't think. And so I sort of regret that a little bit, but I'm very pro World Tour. And I think if anything, we're going to be dissecting this for weeks and weeks and weeks. But one of the things that LIV proved is that there is a market for golf globally in places like Australia and South Africa and all over the planet. Now, the problem, Hayden, is obviously that in a world without the PIF, you lose probably some of your big name players, your audience attractors. And so is the market at Adelaide and South Africa and all these places, is it still what it has been without John Rahm being there, without Bryson being there, without Phil being there, without, some of these bigger names? And I don't know, maybe I like, if I had my choice, I would have had the PGA Tour be a global tour for the last 10 years. Now, is that a wise business decision? Probably not, because of TV money, because as we've seen, like the biggest financial markets in terms of sponsorships and all that stuff is in the United States. So I think they are making good business decisions by not going global. But I love the global game and I want it to go in more and more places. So I don't know. I just don't know that I'm fascinated like you to see what LIV becomes without, like, is Bryson, like, are you going to find an investor that will pay Bryson enough money and then kind of be in it with LIV for the long term? Like, is that going to happen?
I don't think I always, like, logically, rationally, no, it's not. But I feel like it's just been 5 years of I've been wrong a lot of times over the last 5 years and what I thought was going to happen. And I think somebody said it in our Slack channel or whatever, of like, the only way Bryson stays is if he becomes an even bigger stakeholder in what LIV is or what LIV becomes, right? Like,
it's a great point.
Yeah. I don't see a world where there's enough cash to keep him, right? I don't see that. But I do think there's a world where he stays on LIV and becomes like, he owns all the teams. I don't know what it is, but there's a world where Bryson does stay just as like I don't know. Yeah, just a bigger piece of their like decision making, which may not be the best thing for the league. I don't know. I heard somebody said too, is like LIV should just go all in on like YouTube golf. I think Andy Johnson said that. And there is a market there. I don't know. I mean, it seems like there's a very big market, but I don't know that it could be serious enough, right? Like they do get some official world golf ranking points now. How does that change as their structure kind of changes? But there's just no way they can continue to do these events that they're hosting that cost $25-30 million just for an event.
$100 million a month.
Yeah. Again, rationally thinking, there's no one that can pick this up. But it has been kind of an irrational league from the start. So I don't know.
Yeah, totally.
It's going to be a wild summer.
I think you're going to, I wrote this down and this is a problem with having, so many information inputs. I can't remember where I put it. I think I put it on Twitter or something, but you're basically looking to find an investor that is either desperate or irrational to invest enough money in your league to keep it going. And I think I saw, I think Roberto Castro had this, he tweeted it, I think it was Andy Johnson, about, look, like there's a ton of money in all sports right now. So like I wouldn't rule out, them. And I actually agree with this. I wouldn't rule out LIV finding enough money to kind of keep this thing going. To me, it's just at what level? Like, what are you? Like for the last 4 years, you've been the sort of challenger to the PGA Tour, the startup, the Netflix. Like we're gonna sort of get by buying up by licensing these big stars, and then develop our own talent. And we're gonna make it as a startup. And they didn't have enough time or runway or the right people in place to do that. And so now that you're not that, what are you? Like, are you still the place where you're licensing stars and trying to, like, again, like, aren't you just becoming the European, like the DP World Tour, but going to maybe some more places globally? So I think what you said about them merging with potentially the Asian Tour, the European Tour, and that being sort of the global tour of note as a feeder, it's not a competitor, it's a feeder into the PGA Tour. I think that probably makes the most sense, but is certainly it's not a sexy investment vehicle for people that want to sort of get into, like want to invest in sports.
Yeah. At least from a stateside perspective. I mean, there's a lot of money, especially I just think about Asia. I think about there's a lot of potential investors, I feel like, especially in Asia, and maybe other areas of the Middle East. I don't know. But I do think
a weird
LIV. Go ahead.
I was going to say they're in a weird spot because right now the DP World Tour is a sort of a level under the PGA Tour, right?
Yep.
But LIV sees itself as a competitor to the PGA Tour.
Yep.
And the Asian Tour sort of fits in underneath both of them. And so there's no clear hierarchy with all three of the non-PGA Tour entities that we're talking about here. And so how do you merge all that together? I have no idea what that is going to look like. What's your take on, God, there's so many different directions to go with this. What is your take on what's going to happen to, let's say, Jon Rahm, Bryson DeChambeau, and kind of players of, I guess, specifically those two, but other stars that are on LIV right now?
Yeah. Well, I think at this point, that's probably more interesting to me right now. Like, I don't know what, and frankly don't care as much of what happens long term with LIV. I more care about, what is Jon Rahm going to do? Right? Like, is he just going to go pay his fines now? Like, will that kind of quash everything that's happened with the DP World Tour? Is he going to go play on the DP World Tour for the rest of the season? But even like Tyrrell Hatton, right? Like, that's a top 10 golfer in the world, I think, who
at least
is another
20,
guy who's
15.
Yeah. I think not getting, he's just somebody I feel like he shows up in for me, shows up in majors and is a real golfer, not necessarily a what do they say? He's a pitcher, not a thrower. I just think I honestly
do you like throwers? Do you only hate pitchers or do you also hate throwers?
No, I prefer pitchers, not throwers.
I was a thrower for sure.
To be clear, I was not a very good baseball player. I just have golf. Well,
I'm a thrower. Not a pitcher.
Yeah, it's fun to watch from the tee, but after that, turn your eyes away. It's hard for me to say like what will Bryson and Jon Rahm do, because like to me like those two guys are just very different, like in how they operate, or at least how I think of those two. I think Jon Rahm is going to. Well, I would have said this probably last year too. I think Jon Rahm is going to kind of like take it on the chin and like find his way back to the PGA Tour. Like whatever he has to do, even if it's kind of coming back, like kind of what Brooks did, right? Like Brooks kind of took it on, like paid his fine, which not his fine, made a donation to charity or whatever. He's not in the signature events. He's got to like earn his way back. Like Brooks was like, there was a lot of humility that Brooks showed kind of coming back. And you've kind of even seen that with Patrick Reed, which has been interesting. Like to me, like Rahm kind of follows that mold. And like, I think there will be some humility that comes. To me, Bryson, I have just zero idea what Bryson is going to do. Like he might double down, triple down on LIV, like we talked about.
He's gonna. What'd you say? He's gonna own all the teams.
Yeah, he's just gonna run all of them, which would be sick if he was like Taylor Gooch's boss. I just
it's so good.
I would love for Bryson to be back on the PGA Tour. I don't know if he possesses the humility to do it, and that will be interesting to watch.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's humility as much as I think he's so he's so weird because like he's so ambitious outside of golf, but he's also like so obsessed with golf. Like he's such a unique, and this is part of why I enjoy covering him and writing about him and thinking about him, is he's such a unique person. He's almost, there's some, like I think Rory is actually like this a little bit. Like he's fairly ambitious outside of golf and also obsessed with golf, but Bryson takes it like to even more extremes. And that's fascinating. I mean, he might end up as like a club manufacturer over the next year that plays in events. Like, I guess my question would be, if I told you the Bryson and Jon Rahm are in the 2027 Players Championship, what would you say to that? Do you think they like, do you agree?
Yeah. Yeah.
You think they'll
I
both
definitely see that world with Rahm.
Yeah.
I think I might be a little more surprised if Bryson's in the 2027 Players. I think Roll-Up wants those guys back, though. I think that he's going to make a path for that to happen.
He does. He literally said that. Where is it? So I had this from the Wall Street Journal. Andrew Beaton. I think it was Andrew Beaton. Let me double check that. Andrew Beaton wrote this on Wednesday, and he had a quote from Roll-Up that said, we're interested in having the best players who can help our tour, Roll-Up said. Not every player can do that, which is sick.
I love that.
So I think it's like this funny sort of Twitter thing where people are like, oh, Bryson's going to have to go play the Korn Ferry Tour. And it's like, dude, like, no, like that's not going to happen because it's not Roll-Up. I think if the players had their druthers, and in some ways they do, but I think Roll-Up is like, dude, we're not running this like you ran the PGA Tour in 2005 or 1995. This is 2026, and I'm in charge. I'm the captain now. Has basically been his entire tenure. Now, whether that continues to be the case or if he faces, sort of pushback from the Patrick Cantlays of the world remains to be seen. But I don't see a world in which those guys are having to, now maybe I'm trying to think, like the Kevin Nas of the world are forced to Q school or whatever, but they're going to create something like they did with Brooks Koepka, where you create a bar that guys have to clear of, like, if you've won X number of major I don't know what the thing will be or what the numbers will be, but they will make it so that Rahm and Bryson clear that, because Bryson is good for business. Like, that's one thing that LIV has been correct about, is Bryson is box office, outside of like, who attracts more people to watch than Bryson? Maybe Rory? Is that it? I mean, you would say Spieth. You and I would say Spieth, but that's probably not true.
Yeah. I don't know. We've seen the LIV like TV numbers. I mean, you're right in that Bryson brings eyeballs, but is he bringing eyeballs to LIV? Would be my question. Like, I think he does.
I guess.
Yeah.
I guess what I mean by that is he exacerbates events or tournaments or any golf thing that is already thriving. So the Masters is, I think, way more compelling and interesting when Bryson is is in it and playing well. And I don't necessarily mean literal eyeballs. I mean intrigue, drama, drumming up interest from idiots like you and I who talk about this stuff, or people who cover it or whatever. Like there's just, he is one of the guys that just is always, there's just always drama around him, which is the best thing for any sport, right? This is like, it's like Draymond. Like, does Draymond actually attract more people to watch NBA games? Probably not. Like if you actually ran the math on it, no. But is he good for the NBA? 100%, because people that podcast talk about him all the time, or people that write have something to write about or cover or whatever. So I guess when I say Bryson is box office, I don't necessarily mean he literally brings more people out to golf tournaments, but he is good for those golf tournaments being played.
Yeah. Yeah. He evokes something within everybody for the most part.
Totally.
Like, good or bad. And I totally agree with that. I think your Rory's, Bryson's, Spieth. I mean, Patrick Reed was that for a little while. There definitely are guys that evoke feelings that most golfers don't bring out of us.
Okay, I want to talk. We're going to talk legacy later on. I think that there's a lot of. We could do winners and losers. I mean, Joel Beal had a great tweet about how Rahm is like the biggest loser in all of this. I think it's funny that Brooks comes out looking pretty good and Rahm comes out looking really bad, because those guys to me are on opposite ends of the sort of thoughtfulness and introspection spectrum. I think Rahm is very thoughtful and introspective, and I think Brooks is not. And for whatever reason, it just went really badly for Rahm and pretty good for Brooks. I don't know if that was just luck of the draw or timing. I mean, it was timing, but I think that part's interesting. We will do a number of different things over the next several weeks as LIV. It's so hard because you don't want to say like, okay, LIV's over. What did we learn? Because LIV is very much not over. And I think anybody that says that is ill-informed about, like, you might run into casual golf fans who are like, oh, LIV's gone. Like, what now? And it's like, LIV is not gone. Like, they probably will get investment on some level and continue on, and it'll peter out and be something different. So we'll have to figure out how that is going to go over the next several months. But the two things that I wanted to say today, and I tweeted this out, so I'm just going to read them because they were things that I've been thinking about and feeling about LIV over the last several years. The first is this, Hayden. The first is, you can't solve time problems with money. It took 40 years. So this is like lessons from LIV. You can't solve time problems with money. It took 40 years of playing the Masters before people really started to care. You can't speed that up by signing big checks. You can't microwave history. Agree or disagree? That's a lesson that we have learned from LIV.
Yes, I think we've learned that in many areas. I think LIV is the latest example of seeing that. Totally agree.
Yes. And I think, honestly, you could say Masters, US Open, Open Championship. You could also say Players Championship. Like, the Players Championship for me, even in the time that I've been covering golf, which dates back to 2013, it has grown in stature as a globally important golf event. And that's a cool thing. And I think there's a lesson in there of like, hey, it takes a lot of time for this stuff to develop. That's a business lesson. It's a life lesson. It's a golf lesson. It's all those things. And then the second thing for me is, and again, I'm just reading this that I tweeted out, a modicum, I don't even know how to pronounce that. I wrote it. I don't even know how to say it. A modicum of humility goes a long way. Thumping your chest out of the gate and saying, we're going to redefine a 200-year-old sport over the next few seasons is not a good strategy. It might eventually be true, although, spoiler, it wasn't. But it does the opposite of what it probably feels like it's going to do. Most fans are smart, and immense hubris is rarely attractive in any business setting. I just think back to Greg Norman and everybody out of the gate that was like, oh, we're doing this. We're changing golf history. And it's like, man, maybe just lead with some humility. Just say like, hey, we're going to do our best. We think the PGA Tour does some stuff wrong. We're going to try to do it differently, and we'll see how it goes. That would be way more. Now, would you have still been criticized for the PIF money? 100%. But it would have been a lot harder to pile on than it currently is if that was how you were leading. And you didn't. You came in, thumped your chest, and said, "We're running this league, or we're running this sport," is essentially what you said. And that sucked. And I think people like me were turned off by that from the beginning.
Yeah. Well, I just think when you bring it, or when you start with a figure like, Greg Norman, who is extremely polarizing, like you've already split golf fans, like when you start with him. And then even like Phil, like just everything from the start was just so, I guess arrogant is where I don't know what that word is, but I was so turned off to any of it, just with the characters involved. I am attracted to humility. We talked about this, I don't know, in another podcast, but like, that's just more of who we were talking about with Rory looking at the leaderboard at the Masters to see where Shane Lowry was, right? Of just like, I can relate to that a lot more than like, I'm going to we're taking over the world. Some people are into that.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't get it. I totally agree with that second part. The modicum, which I believe is the correct pronunciation.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll hear about that. You wanted to talk about, speaking of problems that golf leagues have, you wanted to talk about a problem that the PGA Tour has. But before we get to that, let's talk about Seed Golf. Seed Golf, Hayden, makes the best golf balls you've never heard of. Their aim is to bring premium performance golf products to golfers of all abilities for less money. Hayden, you and I definitely fall under that of all abilities statement there, which I just had to throw in there. But in other words, same performance, half the price for Seed Golf. I just put in an order of Norman stamped SDX1s. The SDX1 is the way that Seed Golf describes it is about as hot as they can legally make a ball, which is just my wheelhouse. Like, bring me all of that. And yes, it's USGA and RNA approved for tournament play. I don't care about tournament play. I'm not playing in any tournaments outside of our little church golf league that you are running, that we started together. We're kind of like the LIV of church golf leagues, I guess.
Do you remember our original name? We called it like SGL because it was the Saudi Golf League.
Wait, why did we call it? What was the S for?
Because it was summer golf league.
Summer golf league. Okay. This was for free, by the way, Seed. Go check them out at seedgolf.co, and you can use normal sport at checkout for 20% off your order. They didn't ask me to talk about our church golf league, but here we are. The SDX1. I'm excited to get those in, and thanks to Seed for sponsoring today's show. Okay. Hey, do you want to talk about this tweet from Sean Zock, which I'll just read it and then I'll let you talk about it. One problem the PGA Tour needs to solve. This is Sean Zock, April 25th. So feels like 3 years ago, but I think it was like 3 days ago. One problem the PGA Tour needs to solve: 3 signature events between the Masters and PGA Championship, and 0 of them feature both Rory and Scotty. Hilton Head, Rory was out, Scotty was in. Doral, Rory's out, Scotty's in. And then Quail Hollow, Scotty's out, but Rory's in. Give me your take on this.
We talked about it a little bit with Hilton Head. When was that? 2 weeks ago? Like, just this. Well, and we talked about with Zurich of just like this period after the Masters, before the PGA. People are excited about golf, I think. With the Masters. And then, it's major season. But this schedule, there's just too much. Like we talked about this with Zurich, like I just need to take the week off, I'm just not going to really watch this week. But then you're throwing in these signature events. And the reason, to me, this is somewhat timely is when we talk, you had a tweet about LIV's legacy, LIV kind of pushing the PGA Tour to have to come out of this Tiger era, to have to be more creative with their schedule.
Yeah.
I don't feel like the PGA Tour has done that necessarily. Like when I look at the schedule and I think about like earlier I pulled up like the 2018 PGA Tour schedule. It's not that different, you know?
Yeah.
Like it's still kind of the same. We are told that there's these signature events which just have $20 million purses, and all of the better players, we're sold that all of the better players are going to be there. It doesn't feel super creative to me. Like, I don't feel like, and maybe that's where Brian Rollup is pushing. I've already seen Hawaii go away, which we talked about also kind of sucks. I just like, I don't know, man. Like, for whatever reason, and maybe it's the majors is part of this, I just don't get excited about the PGA Tour once major season starts. I'm very excited from January through March. Love a lot of those events. But as soon as we hit April and into May, like I just have a hard time like feeling anything. And I don't know if it's the schedule. I don't know if it's because the players are missing. It's kind of the same way I feel about the PGA Tour playoffs of like, yeah, everybody is in the field who is good, but like I'm having a hard time just like being into this. And that's how I feel this week. I mean, it's like, hey, here's another really big tournament. It's, you know, we're bringing Doral back. Great. We've got some good players. They're going to get a lot of money. And for me, it's just, I don't know. We've seen how money does not change the importance of a tournament or doesn't enhance it. So like for me, sometimes like when I think about like LIV's legacy, it's just like, seems really good for the PGA Tour players. These guys are making a ton of money. But from a fan perspective, I'm just like, I'm not feeling a whole lot different than I did 10 years ago watching the PGA Tour.
Yeah, so I said that LIV's legacy will be that it dragged the PGA Tour out of the very comfy and cushy Tiger era in which a child could have generated an insane amount of revenue, which is true, and into an era where the tour actually needs to be creative, thoughtful, and more modern about its product. I am not saying necessarily that they have done that yet. I think that they are in the process of doing that, and the end product there remains to be seen. It might still suck, but I do think that so where they're at in the process is, you know, bringing in Brian Rollup and saying, hey, we got to figure this, like we got to shake some things up, and not in a, like what they've done so far, you're totally right. Like they've just sort of rearranged the chairs on the deck of the Titanic, I think is the saying. That's not like PGA Tour is not going down, but they've just sort of like rearranged and called stuff different names and said like, oh, let's look at this. And you're like, well, it kind of looks the same. Like you're totally right about that. I think I don't think I was referencing a future in which they are more creative. I think you're totally right about major season. And we called this out before the Masters, right? Where it was like, why is there no lead into the Masters by the PGA Tour? The PGA Tour, whether they like it or not, they have to create story and scheduling around the majors. The majors are the majors, and you can't do. You're the PGA Tour. You don't own them. You can't do anything about that. Lean into it and create a schedule that leads into the U.S. Open, that leads into the Open Championship by going over to. And they've done that a little bit, right? But think about what you could do by going over to Scotland and Ireland and partnering with the DP World Tour leading into the Open. And there's a lot of story that I think they could sort of drum up around these majors that they haven't done at all. I mean, the lead into the Masters makes no sense. The lead into the PGA Championship makes no sense. Like there is no rhythm to what they've done. And I'm hopeful that there will be with this, you know, roll-up era, newly created schedule, but also who knows? Like it might look similar 2 years from now as it does right now. So yeah, that's sort of my take on all that.
Yeah, that makes sense. And like even thinking about the what's the name of the private equity or all the money that came in to the PGA
SSG.
Tour?
Not
SSG.
SGL, but SSG.
Not SGL or SGS, but SSG. Yeah, I think that was probably the biggest for me. Like they are changing structurally, right? Like this may not be as run by the players as it has been. So I think it's like it's been 5 years. Like I want to see something, and Rollout being, taking over for Jay Monahan is probably a big piece of that change that's coming. It's just hard to be like continually told, "Hey, this is coming." Like just wait.
Yeah.
Just
like
wait till Jeddah.
It's like Bryson's irons. Like,
Exactly.
they're coming.
Exactly.
You're like, are they?
So I just want to see. I want to see the results, and I guess we just need to enjoy the journey.
No, I totally agree with you. I think, and the Rory thing I think is unique. He clearly is like, good luck with your PGA Tour, which is like, he's earned the right to do. Like, I don't think that's that's not a knock against him. He is clearly focused on winning major championships. And I just, all that to say, I don't know if there's anything you can do about this, about the Rory thing, the Rory piece of this. Now, that doesn't absolve you from building a great schedule, but the Rory part of it, I think, is a little bit of an outlier in the same way that Tiger has become a little bit of an outlier in terms of like, he's just going to play what, not now, but like 5 years ago, it's like, he's just going to play what he's going to play. Like you can't build a schedule around what Tiger is or isn't going to do. And I think the same has become true of Rory, even at a younger age.
And Scotty a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, Scotty says no to signature events because it doesn't fit his schedule.
Did you hear Scotty talking about Rory?
No.
This like fired me up. Let me see if I can find it. He was talking about Rory at Doral on, when was that? Let's see here. Oh, I can't find it. I won't read it, but I know the synopsis of it. He was talking about him on Wednesday, I think, at his press conference at Doral. And he basically said, Rory's longevity is so impressive. He's like, you can't believe how impressive it is to be that good for that long. And not just to be that good, but to put in the work to maintain your greatness for that long. And the reason that fired me up was because it made me think Scotty is sort of planning for the next 10 years and not just the next 10 months. Like he has seen what it looks like to be not world class, like all-time great for 20 years. And the way he was talking about it made me think like, oh, he kind of wants that too. And that juiced me up because I think there's always this thing with Scotty of, I don't believe this, but people have said, oh, well, maybe he doesn't, like, maybe he'll retire at 35 because and it's like, one, he's a sociopathic competitor. So probably not. And two, this quote in particular made me think like, oh, he's like sort of planning this out. And he won't talk about that because he doesn't want to talk about the future. But that to me was a little bit of a tell of like, how he wants to be an all-time great, which fires me up because I love thinking about, talking about, and getting to witness stuff like that.
Yeah, totally. And I think he's somebody, or where we talked about earlier, just Rory's interests outside of golf are seemingly pretty vast. He's been successful, I know, with a lot of the things he's done outside of golf. And I think like Scotty has like maybe done some stuff, but like what would Scotty Scheffler be doing without golf? Like he's a guy like I think about that like a little, not Tiger, but has a little bit of that to him of like, I know he like obviously cares about his family very much. Like that's very important, but just from a like, how are you spending your time? Like it's golf for him too. So I agree with you on Scotty from a long-term perspective. Without injury, I think we'll see Scotty for a very long time.
Yeah. Rory's quote in KVV's piece on Fried Egg which if people haven't read it, go read it. He said he was a relative. This is Rory talking about Scotty now. He said which I love. I love hearing all-time greats talk about all-time greats. I think it's the best. But he said he lives a relatively simple life where he could live a very different one. He's got access to everything and everyone in the world if he wants it, but he actively chooses not to go that way. And I think that works, and I think that works in his favor. He seems to be of this mindset that whatever happens on the golf course happens, and it doesn't make him any more or less of a man. I admire him so much for that because I've experienced this world where you can be pulled in so many directions. You can at me next time, Rory. You have all these other opportunities that you can go and chase, and I have quite a curious mind, so I do go and chase those. But sometimes I do look at Scotty and wish maybe I didn't have so much going on because it works for him so well. It's a little bit of a backhanded compliment of like he's not as curious about the world as I am, but I think it is actually a compliment that he's just focused on being great and at his craft. And I think that's it's a very admirable thing. Okay, we've gotten through two stories in 50 minutes, Hayden. I'll give you the option. We're just going to do one more because we need to wrap this up. Do you want to do the R&A going to Royal Lytham for the 2028 Open Championship, or do you want to do Jackson Koivun and Preston Stout?
Let's do the AMs. We will talk about, I'm sure, Lytham at some point. I'm very excited anytime the Open Championship announces a new venue. I don't really remember Lytham. They haven't been there, and I don't remember when the last time they were there. But excited about that. I think the whole press car, what's the guy's name, Darbin, or the new DP World guy?
I believe it's Mark Darbin.
Mark Darbin. He had some good quotes too. But I'm excited about that. But I do want to talk about the AMs because kind of
go read Jeff Shackelford. Yeah, go read Jeff Shackelford if you need your Lytham fix. He had some really good stuff on the Mark Darbin press conference and making fun of. He always winds me up when he talks about how far the ball goes and how it's just the fresh salmon-fed athletes that are working out all the time. That's why the ball is going so far. It just kills me. Like he's relentless about it.
Yeah, I'm curious about your salmon-fed diet because you hit the ball very, very far, and I'm assuming it's just because of how athletic you are.
For sure. For sure. It's the seed golf balls. It's
truly
the SDX1s, baby. Okay, let's talk about Jackson Koivun and Preston Stout. So since we last talked, Jackson Koivun won the SEC. That's 3 straight SEC titles for him. Since we last talked, Preston Stout won the Big 12 for my Cowboys at Oklahoma State. That's 3 straight Big 12 titles for him. I didn't realize this. I don't know if this is how all conferences work, but if you T1 in the Big 12 championship, you're declared the winner. So there is no playoff. So in 2024, when Preston Stout won the Big 12, he actually was T1 with a kid from TCU and a kid from, I think, Tech.
So just asterisks.
It's a Gooch. It's a Taylor Gooch situation. So whenever I dropped this in the document that we have, it was just Koivun. I just want to talk about Koivun, but I think we got to throw Stout in there because the last 5 winners of the Big 12, Hayden, are Preston Stout, Ludwig Oberg. That's pretty crazy. And the Koivun side is, so a couple of things. One, Data Golf has him as the best amateur ever since they've been tracking, which granted I think has only been since 2009 or 2010, but they rank him above John Rahm. So I'll just read the top 10. Jackson Koivun, number 1. And this is sort of based on what they call their Data Golf index for amateurs. So I'll just read it. It's an estimate of the quality of each golfer's recent performance relative to the average player in NCAA D1 stroke play championship. So it's in units of strokes gained per round. So it's essentially how good are you compared to an average college player. And they have Jackson Koivun at his apex, sort of his best stretch, as 3 1/4 strokes better than an average NCAA player per round, which is, it's kind of what Scotty is to the pro game, right? He's like 3 strokes better per round than the average tour pro. But this is better than John Rahm. So I'll just read the top 10. Jackson Koivun 1, John Rahm, Jordan Spieth, Patrick Cantlay, Patrick Rogers, Luke Clanton, Victor Hovland, Matthew Wolff. They're on the same team, which is insane. Bo Hostler. And then Chris Williams from Washington, who I've definitely heard the name, but don't totally remember. And then you go Morikawa, Ludwig, Ollie Schneider-Jans, Bobby Wyatt, Peter Uihlein, Gordon Sargent. I could go on and on down the list. But Jackson Koivun's number 1 on this list, Hayden. And I was talking to one college coach the other day who told me that he thinks after 1 year on the PGA Tour that Jackson Koivun will be a top 20 player in the world, which is not how it's gone for Luke Clanton, not how it's gone for Gordon Sargent, not how it's gone for Nick Dunlap either. But that's how good this college coach said Jackson Koivun is.
Wow. I mean, that's like, I haven't watched a lot of Jackson Koivun. I mean, I've watched a little bit. We'll probably watch it, assuming Auburn makes a run at the NCAAs this year. I struggle with like saying like next year he'll be a top 20 player, just because maybe it's a recency bias, but most of the guys that we've seen, like a Luke Clanton or Dunlap or whoever, like, I think they're really good golfers. I just think that adjustment is so big.
Yeah.
Going from college golf to being on your own, being isolated. And it sounds like, from everything I've heard, Jackson Koivun's family, his team around, it's the NIL era, it's a little different. Like, everyone around him is kind of like, he's kind of set up and structured to live the PGA Tour life. So that remains to be seen. I love like the PGA Tour U program. Like, I love that we're going to get to see him, very soon. So I'm not going to say he's going to be a top 20 player next year. I think if he's a top 100 player, that's incredible, right? Like, to go from being a however old, 19, 20, 21-year-old college student to becoming a top 100 PGA Tour player in your first season would be insane. So I don't know. I'm very excited. I think, like, I just think about Luke Clanton and like the expectations that were put on him. I think about people like Rose Zhang. Like, when these kids come out, there's just so much pressure put on them that I don't know. I'm more of a like, I'm gonna pump the brakes and hope to see success, but what he's doing at the college level and what Preston Stout's done, I think it said Preston Stout was the only player to ever win 3 Big 12 titles.
Yeah.
So
Big
both
12
of those guys
been,
are crazy.
Big 12 hasn't been around as long as SEC, obviously, but he's the only player to ever win 3, which is crazy because the Big 12 has some good programs, even outside of, or has had, I guess OU and Texas aren't in there anymore, but it's not like they were, it's not the MAC or something. No offense to Bowling Green and whoever. I don't even know who's in any conference anymore.
I don't either.
Just some context for Jackson Koivun's, I mentioned the 3.25 strokes gain per round, better than the average NCAA Division I player. An average, I think I'm getting this right. This is a little confusing. That would basically be a stroke better than the average PGA Tour player.
The 3.25. Okay.
Yeah, if you put an average PGA Tour player in Division I golf, they would be 2 to 2.25 strokes better than the average NCAA player. So
Can
he's
you give me
already
an example? Who's an average PGA Tour player?
Who's an average PGA Tour player?
I just want to say who I need to picture somebody playing Division I golf right now on tour.
I'll give you a 0-0. Let's.
Here you got. I just wanted you to throw someone under the bus.
Zach Johnson is a 0-0-0.
Which is honestly, that's incredible. Because he's on the Champs Tour now, too.
Yeah, but he's a
imagine
professional.
Zach going back to Drake?
It's Sam Ryder's right there. Okay. Nico Echeverria, whatever. Blades Brown, Taylor Moore, Taylor Gooch is a 0-0-0. And your 1.0s, which I think, if I'm reading this right, is where Jackson Koivun would be. Sepp Straka, Keegan, Patrick Reed, Højgaard, one of the Højgaards, Tyrrell Hatton, Kurt Kitayama. So,
wow.
Yeah, I mean, I think Jackson Koivun's going to be on the U.S. Ryder Cup team in 2027.
Holy cow.
I do. I legit think he's going to be on that team.
I mean, it doesn't have a whole lot of competition to be on the team.
Okay.
That is still...
Yeah, that's the other thing.
Yeah.
People should know, like, we're on different sides of this Ryder Cup thing, so those will be some fun pods whenever we get to talking about that. The other thing I was told by this college coach that I talked to about Jackson Koivun is this coach said, hey, I have not seen a competitor, like a sociopathic competitor like this since Tiger Woods. He was not saying he's as good as Tiger Woods. He was not saying his talent is equal to Tiger Woods. He was just saying, in terms of like, I want to beat you. He's like, I haven't seen it. This coach has been in golf, or has been a college coach for a very long time. And he said, I have not seen somebody as competitive as Jackson Koivun since Tiger Woods,
that's high praise.
It's pretty crazy. And I think that is the part. I was telling somebody the other day, I think half the battle of pro sports is like, do you love it? Right? I would, if I was running an NBA or NFL team, I would only try to figure out the guys that loved the game. Because if you just have talent, like if you're just, this was sort of the rap on Gordon Sargent that got out of like, yeah, he flushes it, but I don't know if he loves it. And I don't know Gordon Sargent. I have no idea if that's true. That was what was sort of the book on him as he was coming out of college. And I think whether you love it or not, whether you like love being a competitor, that's the Scotty story, right? I think that matters. I mean, it matters. It does matter. It matters a ton in any industry. So, yeah, I'm all the way in on both of those guys, but especially on Koivun. I think he's special. I think he's going to be very, very good.
What do you think happens now then with Koivun? Like, he's a junior, right? So do we there's a Walker Cup at La Hinch this fall. I don't know that he's going to hang on that long, but like when does he turn pro? You know, like when do we, I just feel like that decision's also become a lot harder for some of these guys of knowing they've kind of locked up a card when they're ready to turn pro. They're also saying no to a lot of things by turning pro. So I'll also be interested to I don't know if he's announced it. Maybe I'm just an idiot. Well, I am, but maybe he's already said when he's turning pro, but I'd be curious to see what he does after NCAA's next month.
Yeah. I don't know if he's announced it either. Just a quick Google, it says he's planning on turning pro in June of 2026.
Which would
I think
make
it
sense.
helps. I think it helps that we should probably look this up before we start talking about it, but I think it helps that he played in Walker Cup at Cyprus last year, right? Where it's you don't feel like you're missing out on this once in a lifetime opportunity. So yeah, I don't know. That was just a quick Google search. I don't know when he's turning pro, but I would be shocked if he was. And again, maybe he's already announced this and we're just two idiots talking about it. I would be shocked if he was back at Auburn next year. I think at some point between end of the NCAAs and into the Walker Cup, at some point in there, he will turn pro and be out on the PGA Tour. And whether it's fall of 2026 or spring of 2027, like he will, I think it's going to be Ludwig-esque. Maybe not quite that meteoric, but somewhere along that path.
Yeah. And he's got a little more time than Ludwig had, because Ludwig turned pro that summer before the 24 Ryder Cup, or 20, what year was that? 23.
Yeah, he was playing in the Big 12 Championship in May and then in April, and playing in the Ryder Cup in September.
Yeah. That's like the guy for the Astros. It was Cam Smith or whatever, playing outfield for Florida State in May and on the opening day roster the following March. Crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Okay. We have 9 more stories to get to, Hayden, but we will not be getting to them today. We are going to we're going to call it right there. A bunch of LIV talk, a bunch of college golf talk. I'm excited about NCAAs. I think it's a very fun time of year for college golf. Honestly, like more into that at times than the PGA Tour stuff kind of at this time of year. So I'm pumped to watch those guys. In the NCAAs this year. Hayden, thanks for your time. As always, enjoyed it. Appreciate Seed Golf for sponsoring today's show, and we will be back at it next week.
Sweet. See you, KP.